a new executive order puts a significant restriction on the program. And it's going to fundamentally change the way that tech companies operate, how they hire. And there's a lot of implications here. So in today's video, we're going to cover what's in the executive order, why the executive order exists, and what it means for you. And if you want to stay up to date on all the latest AI news and how it's impacting the workforce, this is definitely the time to hit like and subscribe. I'm giving you fresh videos 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, and on Sunday we rest. So thanks for subscribing. Thanks for engaging with me in the comments. There are so many interesting comments, and I love to see it. I love to see it, guys. You guys bring the heat. I freaking love it. So what's in this proclamation? Let's look at it. So it's titled "The Restriction on Entry of Certain Non-Immigrant Workers." And again, what are the impacts of this going to be? Is it going to exacerbate tensions between the US and India? Is it going to accelerate AI adoption? Is it going to cause a deeper rift between the countries? Is it going to fix the growing unemployment issues? Again, we're going to get into it today. So let's start by saying why. Why is this a thing? Why is Trump signing executive order? And I think it's interesting on the whitehouse.gov website, it has this proclamation. And I want to highlight, and I'm going to read the claim verbatim because I think it's interesting. It says, the H-1B non-immigrant program was created to bring temporary workers into the United States to perform additive, high-skilled functions, but it has been deliberately exploited to replace rather than supplement American workers with lower paid, lower skilled labor. And I got to say, that claim, I think, is mirrored by a lot of the comments that I read. A lot of you guys in the comments are saying that, Mark, it's not AI, it's always Indian. And, you know, I understand where you're coming from, but I also think that it's foolhardy to disregard the impact.
I think it's also, I think it can be both, but I think majority of it has to do with because AI plays such a pivotal role in a lot of CEOs and a lot of businesses, especially tech businesses, are running towards AI. Because if you do not innovate, if you do not adapt, you will basically be out of business. And prime example is a company such as Blockbuster. You know, today we talk about Netflix, we talk about Hulu Video, we're talking about what are those streaming platform again? I forgot. But yeah, there's many of them out there. And but before all those streaming platforms such as Netflix, Hulu, Apple TV, there was Blockbuster. And Blockbuster damn near had a monopoly movie streaming arena because they didn't really have any real competitor or such as probably the only competitor that I knew about. But now you have Redbox and many other things. So Blockbuster did not adapt compared to other companies because I read an article back then that say the idea of Netflix was presented to the Blockbuster CEO at that time, and he did not believe in it. So he basically put it aside. And now Blockbuster is basically out of business. So a lot of businesses now are basically adapting artificial intelligence. And I think when you look at how many people are basically getting laid off, you can say it's because of the foreign workers who actually have a H1B visa. Those are the ones that's really taking the job because indirectly they could be impacted by artificial intelligence also. But the workers that actually have the H1B visa, they have a specialized skill set that is actually needed for those companies. Most American, either they don't have it or they're not really interested in trying to study in those type of skill set, unlike people from H1B visa.
That AI is having on the workforce, but that's a whole nother story, a whole nother video. Basically, the Trump White House is making a claim that, you know, these big tech companies are replacing labor with cheap overseas H1B visa labor, right? That's the claim. And they have stats to back it up. They show that foreign STEM workers have doubled between 2000 and 2019, from 1.2 million to 2.5 million. While the overall STEM employment has only increased 44.5%. So The amount of tech workers that are being employed increased by 44%, but the amount of overseas labor has doubled. Yeah, I mean, I mean, the math doesn't math there. The math doesn't math there. That's definitely seeing, I mean, it backs up their point. They've also seen that this is especially prominent in math occupations, where the foreign share of the workforce has grown from 0.7% to 26.1%. So we're seeing, again, a big increase in foreign workers coming over to the US through the H1B visa program and taking what would traditionally have been held as American jobs.
Now, the question is, how many Americans are interested in subjects such as math, engineering, technology, science, architect, health? Not a lot, especially when you look at the newer generation, like the Gen Zers. They're not really interested in those type of subjects because most of them either want to be a TikToker, a YouTuber, an influencer. They want to be in the limelight. They don't want to work, learning how to do a calculus problem. Most of them can't even do basic math. Most of them can't even, do a huge multiplication problem without having a calculator. Most of them can't even write in cursive. So you have all these foreign workers who have an H1B visa who are basically invited, or usually they come here, or the United States government goes to their country and bring them back here because the United States government and in some level recognize that they're limited set when it comes to like math, engineering, technology, health, and many more. Because most of American, they don't feel like those degrees is something that they want to do. They want to study things such as gender studies, Black studies, gender equality, writing, sociology, psychology, those type of degrees. And when you go to like a college campuses in those departments, you will see a bunch of American who are actually in those department. But when you go to like an engineering department, or if you go to some of these STEM-based degree department, you will see a lot of foreigners and a lot of Indians that are basically studying in those type of degree.
They also note one software company was approved for over 5,000 H1B in 2025. And around that same time, it announced that it was going to be laying off 15,000 employees. And while the proclamation doesn't specify the exact company, we recorded a video a few weeks ago on Microsoft, 15,000 people. So Microsoft, is that you? I don't know. Go check out that video. I'll post a link to it up here. Anyway, this issue has been particularly devastating to college graduates. Kids are coming out of college, hundreds of thousands in debt, and they get jobs. It is, I don't think this is being talked about enough. I heard a video on it the other day. I'll post a link to this video too, where the college graduate unemployment rate has increased from 5.8% to 6.6% in just 6 months. It's absolutely shocking.
Yeah, I think it's even higher than that. Especially, I just saw an article that said in the month of August, only 22,000 jobs was created. But also in the same month of August, around 85,000 jobs was lost, or 85,000 people was basically laid off. So it shows that a lot of jobs is not being created, and a lot of college kids are basically not able to find jobs. And considering that the unemployment rate in the United States currently right now is around 4.3%, and when the labor force in the United States is around 160 million people, that's the equivalent of about 7 million people who are basically unemployed.
It's staggering. Again, watch that video. We go into more detail. But this problem of not hiring U.S. college graduates for these STEM jobs is real. It's a reality. It is happening. I think that much is clear. So what is the key detail? I mean, we're already a few minutes into the video. Thank you for liking. But we haven't actually got into what the executive order does. We just explained why the executive order essentially puts a $100,000 application fee on top of the H-1B visa. So if you're a company, let's say Amazon, and you want to bring over an H-1B visa, you got to pay $100,000 just to submit the application. That's a pretty substantial barrier to entry, okay? And it doesn't really require much more speaking on the matter. But if you were planning on bringing over someone from another country and paying them and undercutting an American wage, it's harder to do that when you're going to have to pay $100,000. It increases the cost tremendously.
$100,000 for a company such as like Amazon or Microsoft or Apple, it's really not a lot of money. But company always like to get cheaper labor. So maybe that's why they go to those foreign countries and offer them a small amount of money compared to the U.S. Population, because they know the U.S. population probably will demand more. They will ask for more. They'll ask for many other things that a foreigner would just be grateful the fact that they're getting paid more than what they will probably get in their country. And maybe that's why. Maybe they don't want to spend that much money, but for $100,000 for a company such as Apple or Amazon or Microsoft, it's a small amount of money, but companies are stingy. They don't like to basically give a lot of their employee raises and things like that. So I won't be surprised if, they really start rethinking about hiring a lot of H-1B visa workers.
It's not 100%. Should not apply to current H-1B visa workers. So if you're already in, you're in. However, companies are really like reaching out to all of their H-1B visa holders and saying, get back into the country now, because this executive order goes on Monday, September 21st. So there's a very, very real possibility that if you H-1B visa holder that's outside the country, you might not be getting back in. So again, a lot of confusion. I mean, this is happening so fast. Guys, I was actually going to record a video today on Meta's glasses, which are completely sick, so cool. But this news is just so big that I know this is such a big topic of conversation in the comments. I wanted to cover it. And just by the way, guys, you can I would encourage you to sign up for my newsletter, the AIupdate.ai. Go to AIupdate.ai. There's a link below. You can sign up for my newsletter. But if you have a really good insight into this, and the comments are just so sick on the channel, if you have a good insight, post your comment below. If it's great, I will pin it. I've pinned comments before. I will pin them again, because I want to learn just as much as you. This is an important time to be learning, guys. Okay, so what's the impact here? We've looked at why the executive order. We looked at what's in the executive order, but let's look at, what is the impact? What does this actually mean? Well, it's obviously a major blow to the US tech giants. And I did some math here with ChatGPT and looking at companies like Amazon, for example. Amazon was the top H-1B recipient in 2024, thousands of H-1B visa holders. Now, right now, they have 10,000 H-1B visas as of June of 2025, right? If they were to submit applications for all of those H-1B visas, that's $1 billion in application fees. That doesn't even take into other considerations on renewals and stuff like that, which is still a little bit murky. That's $1 billion in application fees. Do you think that impacts the way that they're going to hire? I would think so. Again, they're already in, so they're not going to be subject to it, but it's setting a precedent moving forward. Microsoft, as of June 2025, had 5,100. That's $500 million in application fees. So we're saying, if these companies, if they are going to be serious about hiring overseas talent, you're tacking on millions and millions, tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars in order to get these people across the, over the line. Now, in some cases, it might be worth it if you're hiring really skilled, really talented labor. We recorded a video a few weeks ago, I'll post it up here, where Meta was paying $250 million signing bonuses to get top AI talent over to the Meta organization. So you're still going to want to be hiring the top talent. It's still going to be worth it. You'll pay the $100,000 fee in a moment if you're getting top talent, but you're not going to be hiring mid-level or entry-level talent from overseas if you're going to have a $1,000 bill attached to it. What are you going to do? You're going to be hiring American talent, US talent. make America great again. And honestly, to me, it seems like a great thing for college kids who are in STEM right now. They're probably pumping their fists in the air. They're like, I might be able to get a job. This is amazing. I might be able to graduate and get a job. All this stuff that I've been learning and dedicating my life to and spending tens of thousands of might be able to get a job. Sweet. I think it's great. I think they're probably pumping fists pretty hard. This, so that's a side note. The flip side is this is going to definitely hit our Indian IT firms very, very hard and could certainly exacerbate the tensions between the US and India. India holds, by the way, 75% H1B visas. So
India has a booming economy. It really does. And a lot of people don't talk about it. We always talk about the US economy, always talk about the Chinese economy, but India also has a booming economy. And they have actually a huge tech base that is actually booming in also India. And a lot of Indian also here has a huge impact, especially in AI. When we look at some of like the tech startup company in Silicon Valley, there's a lot of CEOs that are either Indian born or like Indian origin that were born here in the United States. And with the things that's happening between BRICS and the United States, and also with the tariff, recently President Donald Trump actually imposed tariff also like on India and Indian product. So India basically holds around 70% of the H1B visa. Will this also have an impact on India? I don't know. And also on top of that, what if most of the Indian people decide to go back? This can also have a huge impact on the, innovation in tech, on the production of tech, and just on the creativity, especially how much like Indian plays a huge role here in tech here in the United States.
We're just India. So all my Indian viewers out there, it's gonna look different. It's going to be much harder to get an H1B visa job and come here to the United States. And just a quick side note, I don't love all the manipulation into the markets, particularly with the tariffs and all this stuff. I don't love it. I think you let the free markets do what the free markets do. I don't like the government intervening. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But just as a side note, I like, just
imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete.
Let the markets handle it. The more government gets involved, the more bureaucratic and messy things get. My opinion. You could disagree. You could certainly disagree and put your comments below. That's fine. What else is the impact here? Well, if it's obviously there's going to be an increased cost of labor, which as a result is going to lead to an increased cost. That iPhone that you love, those softwares that you love, those enterprise softwares that you're using, they could definitely increase in cost. The other impact is that, companies are adaptable. They're going to adapt. They're going to move. They're going to juke. And I think that this could, certainly increase the speed of AI automation and adoption. I mean, I don't know how much faster you could increase that speed because, companies are laying off thousands of employees to, at least at the very least, AI automation and then adjust accordingly. But if the labor increases dramatically, the urgency of leveraging AI is going to increase.
Yeah, a lot of companies probably, would not want to have a labor force that they're required to pay like a huge amount of money, like especially here in America, because it's actually beneficial for them to actually go in places like India and China and many other places where they can offer them a little bit less than what they will probably offer an American worker. And I can see a lot of company not wanting to pay a lot of American a higher wages compared to the H1B worker. And they will probably start thinking about taking other measures, like he said, to speed up the AI system in their company, because it seems like it will make sense a little bit more for them to implement artificial intelligence inside their operation rather than implementing American inside their operation, because the cost will just be too high. They will be asking for healthcare. they'll be asking for days off, and there's just so many things that comes with it when you're dealing with human beings. But when it's like robotic or AI, you don't have to deal with no healthcare. You don't have to deal with no sick leave. You don't have to deal with no paternity leave and so many other things. And a lot of companies most likely will try to adapt, or speed up the process of implementing artificial intelligence inside their operation to basically escape this process of trying to hire a lot of Americans, because it could cost them a lot of money in the future.
I talked about this, which you can get at aiupdate.ai, drops every Saturday. But when you're determining to take on a project, because there's so many different projects, there's so many different things that we could be learning. You need to have a way as an organization of determining which projects you should focus on. And one of the metrics that I look at is the urgency, like how urgent is this? And I also like to attribute a dollar value to it. Okay, what is the dollar value of this problem? And so if there was a company that was on the fence about sending AI into a certain role, but it was lower on the scale as far as urgency, it was lower on the scale because of the dollar valuation. Well, now they're saying, well, if we're going to bring over talent from H1B visa program, it's going to cost us another $1 million. It increases the urgency and the cost savings of working on that AI project. So this could move AI automation higher up on the pecking order of projects to work on. Okay, this is certainly going to shift to, I don't see how companies under these types of restrictions could be hiring lower skilled labor and getting H1B visas. They're just going to be bringing over the top labor, the top skills, which, I'm for that. We want the best of the best here, man. I don't care, I don't care your skin color, your religion. I do not care. If you are on board with the American way of life, if you're on board with freedom, if you're on board with meritocracy, with creating a better world, with solving interesting problems, come on over. We want you. If you're into, if you don't love the idea of freedom, if you don't like the idea of meritocracy, then, this is not the place for you. All right? This is not the place for you. We want freedom, loving, it's about freedom, baby. Braveheart's my favorite movie for a reason. All right. Now, this could also shift the other resources, so I don't get off too much of a tangent here. The other impact here is a shift to offshoring and remote work, because it doesn't appear to me that type of work is going to be impacted by these shifts. So companies certainly may say, well, Jim, we were thinking about bringing you over the visa program. We'd like to work with you, but we're just going to work with you offshore. You can do remote work from your home there in India, China, Bangladesh, wherever you're at. So more offshoring, less coming to America type stuff happening, I would see. Okay.
I mean, this is already happening, especially with telemarketing. When you call like the customer service for a company, there's a high likely chance you're someone who's probably like in a foreign country, because America, when you look at the economic back then, like America has basically deindustrialized, and most of our industry basically went overseas. And now some economic expert will consider us more of a service economy. So a lot of company now need service, and they want to use, labor as cheap as possible. So they will go in places like India. So a lot of remote work could potentially also become something that is common in places like India, because a lot of companies would try to offshore their service, especially because in those countries they can pay someone maybe $2 an hour compared to here in the United States, which the federal minimum wage is $7.25. But in some state, or depending on which state you're in, it ranges from 12 to 15 to even maybe $17. So it's a huge, there's a huge significance when it comes to how those companies would be able to spend money, and it's more attractive for them to probably offshore some of their load, especially when it comes to like service and customer service or telemarketing.
Okay. So to kind of put a bow on this thing, what does this mean for us? And I'm going to stay consistent with, I think it's important. So we need to focus on what we can control. Focus on what you can control. There's a lot of noise out there, and we want to be aware of what's happening. That's why I'm recording these videos 6 days a week. We want to know what's happening, but we want to focus on what can we control? What can we wrap our arms around? Trump passing the H1B visa, you can't control that. A foreign war, you can't control that. Focus on what you can control. Don't get caught up in all the noise, Keep upskilling. Keep reinventing yourself. I talk about this quite a lot, and I haven't heard anyone disagree with me. You may disagree. I'd love to hear it. Prove me wrong on this, that we are living in an age where you are going to need to reinvent yourself every 2 years the rest of your professional life. You're going to need to continue to reinvent yourself because technology is moving so quickly, so rapidly. I honestly don't know what I'm going to be doing 2 years from now, but I do know that I'm going to continue to upgrade my skills. I'm going to continue to reinvent myself. And what I'm going to do, and this is what I encourage you to do, by doing that, by continuously upgrading yourself, when the opportunities come, you have the opportunity, you're ready. Because if you're sitting on the bench saying things are fine now, you're not going to be ready when the opportunities come. You understand? You need to be in a place where it's like, put me in, coach. I'm ready. I'm warmed up. I'm stretched. Put me in. Be ready, guys, because the skills that you've been building the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you can leverage those, you can use those, but those are not going to be the same skills you need in this new world. And I really hope this message reaches someone today, because it's too dangerous to be comfortable right now. All right, it's just too comfortable. You can't be comfortable right now. Keep upskilling. Look, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thanks for subscribing to
I agree with him. I completely agree with him, because things are really just changing every year, and you got to be able to adapt. I remember I read this quote. It says, it's better being prepared and not get the chance than get the chance and not be prepared. Like he said, with the implication of artificial intelligence, how rapidly it's changing, how rapidly it's being, intertwined with our daily life. Things are changing almost every year. And you got to be able to be innovative. You got to be able to be creative. You got to be able to try to find yourself. You got to be able to find skill set that you can utilize in the future. Because for me personally, the thing that kind of woke me up was during COVID. Because during COVID, a lot of things were shut down. And for a lot of people that actually had to physically be at a job, most of them had to stay home. And now they were stuck at home. They wasn't able to basically pay some of their bills, and things just became a little bit more difficult for them until, the government released some kind of restriction, especially with the face covering and many other things, where people now can go back to work. But it just woke me up and just got me thinking. I'm like, you know what? You got to be innovative. You got to create something for yourself, whether you're reading a book where you're trying to make yourself better, or you're trying to learn a new skill, or you're trying, for example, if you're trying to become like a trader or in stock, you got to look for videos and expert and people that actually are doing it, where you can learn from them. There's multiple things that you can do. You can start a social media channel where you're talking about things that interest you. There's multiple things that you can do nowadays that, it will be able to provide you a lot of things in the future, especially with how AI is basically coming. A lot of jobs is basically being cut. A lot of people are basically losing their jobs, what they're going to do for the next 2 to 3 years. So I encourage a lot of people who are watching this to be able to just innovate. Always, keep your mind open. Remember, it's better being prepared and not get the chance or an opportunity. But it says it's better being prepared and not get the opportunity than get the opportunity and not be prepared. That's what that quote says. So, if you like this video, please make sure you like, you share, you subscribe, and please leave a comment. I'd love to hear your comment.